Hello and welcome to another Left Seat Culture video. My name is Dale and this is another video that I recorded a few years ago when I was doing my ground school training for my PPL, and I decided to use EasyPPL Ground School, which is absolutely fantastic. So this video talks about my experiences with it as I'm going through my studies. You might have seen some of the other videos where I've mentioned it as well. Just talking about some of the options that are available to you when you do your ground school. And if I was to do things again, I still would definitely recommend EasyPPL Ground School. I probably wouldn't have bothered buying the Poolies books and things that I did have. As I mentioned in the video, the only kind of caveat with EasyPPL is you do need an internet connection to look at it on your phone, tablet or computer, but there we go. So enjoy the video and I hope it helps. So over to past me when I was doing my ground school studies for my PPL. One of the things that I really struggled when first getting started or deciding to get my private pilot's license is understanding how and where I can get the knowledge that I need to obviously move through the private pilot license training. And one of the resources that I have been using and I think is really good is the EasyPPL Ground School. So I just thought I'd talk to you a little bit about why I'm enjoying that, the results I'm getting, and give you a little show of what it is in case you're considering trying to find some online ground schools to go with. I'm recording this video in early December 2021, and at the time of doing the video, if you're trying to get your private pilot's license in the UK, the Civil Aviation Authority require that you do 7 theoretical electronic exams based on different studies. So there's 9 exams to do on 9 different topics, and there's various ways that you can do this. You can obviously study at a dedicated ground school. Most of the time your flight training school will have some ground school options, either done with your instructor or a dedicated ground school team. There are also companies that do kind of what I call a ground school boot camp. So you can go to the boot camp maybe over a week or two, just grind through all the knowledge and get the exams done. And there are also various books as well, which we'll touch on in a moment. And then there are a couple of apps and online kind of ground school mechanisms that you can use. So I looked at a few of them. One of the main issues seems to have been, I think it was either earlier on this year in 2021 or perhaps last year in 2020, the Civil Aviation Authority kind of changed the setup a little bit in terms of it used to be a paper-based exam and now they moved it to an electronic exam. So what I kind of get a grip from in the past, that obviously to try and pass those exams, there was only a select amount of questions in the paper question bank, and different people got hold of obviously the questions, and you could basically look to pass those exams just by learning all the possible permutations of the questions that are available in the paper question bank. Now it's moved to electronic. Of course there is still a question bank, but it's hundreds and hundreds of questions. So it's still multiple choice. So you still, you've got a 1 in 4 chance of getting the question right most of the time. But I think they're trying to put more emphasis on making sure that you really understand the material, which I think is obviously very important. And so making it perhaps a little bit harder to pass the exam, at least make sure you know more about the subject area to cover the exam. So myself personally, I've done boot camps and things like that in the past. They don't always work that well for me. I like learning at my own pace. I like to feel that I'm prepared. I also like to get a sample of the information that is available. So I've done a couple of things. At my school, I haven't done any ground schooling there, but they do have some mock questions based on their own understanding of what they think the questions will be like. So I had a little look through those and went through those. They seemed pretty good. Then there are 2 books, or 2 providers of various books for all the different subjects that seem to be quite popular. There are these ones here, the Poolies books, and I have all of the Poolies books, and I think they're actually really good. They go into good technical detail, and sometimes not always the easiest to understand, but again you're learning, so it's new topics. And then there's also these AFE books as well. So I only have the flying training AFE book. but in some ways this book seems more simplified and at least easier for me to understand. So I think that works well for the flyer training when I use it to try and get my head around some of the training lessons we're going to do in terms of actual flying, as opposed to the ground school pieces. But all the Poolies books I have for the ground school subject material. And so what I've been doing is I read through those, try and get my head around what's happening, especially some of them, like the ones I just completed, air law. It's a dry topic, it's quite hard to read about for someone like myself, and that's then when I really started to look at different things, and that's why I decided to go and pay for the EasyPPL Ground School. When I signed up initially, it was £9.99 per month per course. I think now it's increased to £10.99 per month per course, but if you need to renew it, it's a little bit cheaper. So at the time of doing the video, I've only done 2 of their courses. One is air law and the second one being operational procedures. I've done both of those because they were the first 2 exams that I wanted to do. Next, I'm going to sign up for communications, but I'm in the process of reading through the Poolies communication book so far. So as I mentioned, I read through the whole book first, then I will go on here and do the ground school. So let me show you a little bit about the website, how it looks, how you kind of use some of the materials, and give you a little sample of what the material content looks like and why I like it. So here we are on the EasyPPL Ground School. So when you go to the main page, you can obviously see this information here. They do a free 3 days access to the air law course. So again, you can have a look at this right now. One other thing I would ask, I don't know actually what I get for it, but if you think this is a good way for you to learn, when you log in and when you sign up, you don't need to provide any payment details until you actually want to buy something. And there's an option to put in a referrer. If you could put Dale Pearson in the referrer, that would be good. Maybe I might get access to some of the materials for free or whatever. I can do some follow-up videos in the future. But basically, lots of information on the guidance here in terms of all the different exams and how things work. So obviously we look at private pilot's license. Lots of tips, some breakdown of the 9 different exams that you need to look at. They also have their own recommendations on the order you should do them in, but your school may specify a specific order, so make sure you work with that. It tells you a little bit about the exam pass marks, how many times you can fail them, what happens if you fail, all that kind of thing. Really good materials, some tips on how to study, etc. Then we look at the courses. So we'll look at the private pilots courses, and you can see here are the initial license courses that are available. So air law and ATC procedures, this is one that I have access to right now, and you can see it's £10.99 if you want access to the full course, or £7.99 if you just want access to the exams. Personally, I recommend accessing the full course. You do have then access to the online slides that will take you through the whole course. So instead of like reading the whole air law book, you can go like through 380 odd slides on their site if you want to. And I think you'll probably be okay with that if you didn't want to read the book, but again, up to you. And then if you want to renew, so it takes you longer than a month, or you need more than a month's access, you can renew. If you have the full course, obviously you have those slide materials and access to the exams as well. One thing that I would like, but I understand why they didn't do it, is you can't download the slides. So you have to be online and connected to the internet on your laptop or your desktop or your phone or your iPad to see it. Would have been nice sometimes to be able to download and print out some of the slides a bit easier. But yeah, I understand why they're doing that. So air law and ATC procedures, aircraft general knowledge, communications, flight performance and planning. Again, they're all the same price. The only thing where things change a little bit is they have this radio telephony full course. So at some point in your flight training, you're going to have to get your radio license. I think it's FROL or something. And one of the ways you can prepare for this is doing the EasyPPL radio telephony full course. I've got no idea how good that is or not, and I may or may not have a go at that. Not too sure. Oh yeah, it's even here, FRTOL. And then they also have some prep for your
exam preparation, so when you actually come to do that exam. So that is also separate from the 9 exams we mentioned already. Then there's some differences course, like if you've got a plane with a variable pitch propeller, they have a course for that. And then after you've completed your PPL, another resource to help prepare you for your instrument rating, training, as well as night rating. And again, I may come back to that. And then there's some other kind of best practice courses, so things to help with your navigation, infringement advice. You get that free right now when you buy one of the courses. I've not had a look at that yet. And then again, some other ones. So in terms of who is doing these trainings, you can ask an instructor at any time for any questions. I found in less than 24 hours they respond. So you can just ask an instructor a question about generally anything. And then also, when you're doing the mock exams, if you get a question wrong, or you kind of don't agree, or you're not confused about something, there's a button specifically to ask a question about that specific question. And again, I found that they come back to you really, really quick. And I'm just trying to see if there's anything about, if we just look at meet the team. So there's quite a few people here, and I've had answers from different people. I guess depends who's reading the emails and coming back. I've had responses back from Nigel and from Lee, and then there's Zoe as well. So there's 3 people, it seems, being the main people working behind this. But I'll show you a quick little sample of some of the things that you can see in here. So when I go to study, I can see my certificates. So one of the things that's quite helpful here is when you get to a certain stage that you've gone through the course material and you've done the exams, the mock exams, and you're getting a good enough pass mark. So I think it's generally, if you're getting over 75% at least 3 times, they will give you a certificate readiness printout, basically, that you can show your flight school and your instructor to help kind of validate that you think you're ready to take the exam. So that's quite helpful. I'm going to show you an example of that here. So obviously there's my stuff there, and again some examples of my pass marks. So 95%, 85%, 90%, 95, 95, 75 wasn't too good, and obviously some of the earlier stuff as I'm trying to get my head around things. So that's really handy that it does that, and you get that for every one of your courses. So then if we go to study my courses, again, as mentioned, mine are running out for air law, and operational procedures runs out a bit later in the month. But again, I'll give you just a little example of some of the stuff on here. So you can see you get access to these slides. They're all watermarked with your name, so if someone decides to leak them online, then obviously they're going to know who leaked it. You go through each of the slides, get information, and it really is helpful in terms of giving you breakdowns. Most general content is in black, and then something in red is something that typically you really kind of want to make sure you get your head around, maybe do some further reading, and there's a good chance it will come up in the exam. So again, just example of some of the slides there. Again, I'm not going to go for everything, I don't want to get in trouble, but really good, really clear, well written, I think, works well. Lots of resources as well, so we click here for resources. Each of the slides sometimes references a civil aviation reference document or some other document, and so instead of necessarily always sending you back to the CAA, they pull down and maintain the latest versions of those into the resources section. That's the other thing that I also really like about EasyPPL Ground School is the subjects to some extent are constantly changing. Only minor changes here and there, but they're constantly making updates. And you can see here the last update was made on the 26th of November, and there is somewhere, I'm trying to remember where it is, but somewhere there's a list and it shows you when the last things got updated, so that's obviously rather helpful. And then the other thing I'll show you is, again, back on the courses, the exams. So again, as you're going through the different slides at different junctions, it will kind of stop and say, right, okay, now it's time to test your knowledge on this specific piece. So if we look at it's like a progress test. So if we click on test me, So here you have these questions. So what does the ICAO stand for? You then choose whatever answer you want. So you can choose that one. It's not going to give you the answer straight away. You then just go through the second question. Again, I'm just clicking things. I'm not reading what the question is. Go through everything. Click, check. And then you submit all answers. Obviously, I failed because we're not paying attention. But then you can go through and see what the right answer was supposed to have been. So obviously in this example, International Civil Aviation Organization shows that for each of these. I got one right by guessing. So orange because I didn't answer them. Green means that you got it right. And red means that you got it wrong. Regardless of whether you got it right or wrong, you can see an explanation for this question. So it provides more detail as to what the real and right answer is. And then, as I mentioned before, there's this little button so you can ask an instructor for further help with the question if you're not too sure about something. So that's it. So I think the EasyPPL Ground School is really, really helpful. After you've done any of those little exams, it also sends you an email just to kind of confirm kind of how well you did or you didn't do. But yeah, I'm really happy with it. So when I was doing the tests, you can see in the results I showed you earlier, once I was getting kind of 85, 90, 95, only got 100 a couple of times. Maybe some could argue you want to make sure you get 100% every single time. But one of the things I decided not to go with that approach is the question bank is massive. I don't know how relevant that level of knowledge is to be able to get 100% every time, because in real life you may have your knee board and you may have some things on there to remind you of a certain thing with VFR flight or anything. So I was confident, as long as I was getting kind of 85, 90, 95, I felt confident to go and do the exams. That's what I did with the EasyPPL Ground School for both the air law and the operational procedures. I went and did both those exams back to back, and as you were seeing in one of the other videos, I got 75% on both of them, which is obviously just the pass mark. I admit I wish that I got a slightly higher mark. Not that it matters, just for my own kind of personal frustration. But again, I feel confident that this training mechanism helps me progress. So what I will do, obviously this video will be going out as I'm still training and doing the other exams. So I will add some comments as I go as to if I still think EasyPPL Ground School is working. And obviously you'll see other videos as I attempt to take the different exams and the results that I've got as a result of them, whether I failed them, whether I passed them or anything. But I hope this video was helpful. Please like if it has been. Again, as I mentioned, if you're considering signing up, please put Dale Pearson in the referrer. I hope this video has helped. If it has done, please consider liking, subscribing. Any questions or comments you have, leave them in the comments section and I will get back to you. But if I'm really lucky, I'll see you in the next video. Take care of yourself. Goodbye for now.